Good evening. I'm Luce, and on dark and eerie nights like this, I can't help but think about Halloween. I'm so sick of Halloween celebrations being limited to a few weeks out of the year. That's why I created It's Always Halloween, a year-round podcast on which I'll dive deep into the dark history of our favorite horror-filled holiday. Each episode will explore one specific custom, fear, or fright, inspired by my own curiosity and listener queries. If you have a Halloween question you need answered or just want to share a Halloween memory, call my All Hallows hotline at 802-532-DEAD. Or you can write me an email at it'salwayshalloweenpodcast@gmail.com. Tune in if you dare.
Warning! This movie podcast actually discusses movies. Be aware that it may discuss any of the following elements: endings, surprise twists, unexpected cameos, and all manner of spoilers. If this doesn't appeal to you, then why listen to a movie podcast? Without further ado, please enjoy our feature presentation, The Shameless Picture Show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Shameless Picture Show. I'm your host, Michael Viers, and today I'm joined once again by my good friend, Jason Hillman. Jason is a returning guest on this show and a bit of a modern Renaissance man, comic, writer, director, podcaster, all-around creative dude who shared his work on stages and festivals across this country. Jason, how are you?
Oh, wow, yeah. I am. When you describe me like that, I realize how tired I am. I'm exhausted from doing too much. Just got done spending 3 days at about 10 hours a day shooting a music video. I am tired. The last time I was free for a moment was when we were watching the film we're going to talk about today. I'm good. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me again. I love anything with shame in its title.
You do. It's why you are such a perfect fit for this episode for this show going forward. Before we talk about, some bullshit movie that just came out, tell me about this music video.
Bullshit movie that just came out. Let me tell you something before I answer that question.
I
saw this movie 5 months ago, and I have been bursting at the seams to talk about it, but I could have done my own podcast. I signed a very extensive NDA, but I have been saving my energy like a Hadouken for this show to talk about it with you. This is the bullshit movie.
You do realize I'm just trying to fire you up to get.
I know.
So I can get
it's
even more sound bites out of you. That's what you are to me. You are sound bites, Jason.
I am nothing but a dancing monkey, but I'm a million monkeys with a typewriter. The music video I'm shooting, there's a local artist named Slang Troubadour, Reno. He is. I've been shooting his videos for a good 8 years now, but they're mostly oneers. They're usually like our creative process has been like, hey man, you want to shoot something today? And we'll have like 45 minutes to an hour. We'll shoot it, we'll edit, we'll get it out within 2 days. For this next thing, he has started a new project that I found really interesting, and we developed this entire concept around like a virus that's released by this record. There's a mad scientist who acquired this relic, and he put it in a record, and he hid it somewhere, and dude found it, and it's running around and spreading to everybody, and cursing them with the verses of the song. We ended up shooting at DJ Ability's house. If you're an old hip hop fan from the 2000s, ID and Abilities is kind of like was top tier independent rap. He lives in the area and he did a guest on the track, so we got to shoot with him. Got to talk to him about Todd Solondz, which was interesting. Happiness is the movie that made him realize he can love movies. He has a Japanese Welcome to the Dollhouse poster that was great.
Damn.
So it's been really fun. We shot in this warehouse. I did a newscast thing. I ended up doing like half the song while a flashing light was in my face. It's been a really intense process. It's definitely one of those things where I tried doing it myself all at once, and I was like, I need a crew, and I went out and got a really brilliant crew together. And they've been incredible, and they've allowed me to really exercise my vision, and I'm grateful for them, and I'm grateful for the experience we've had. We've got 2 more shots left, and then we'll be releasing that soon.
Yeah, I remember. I think is this the same? I think you invited me out to one of these shoots, I believe, but you seem to shoot when I'm working, so that makes it difficult. But I have been very intrigued by what you're doing, especially because like we've been friends for a while now, and we've not collaborated as much as I would like, and I feel like the right time will come, but I'm just itching for it to happen.
Oh yeah, I mean I trust. Very woo-woo here. I trust the universe to bring me to the collaborations I need the most when I need them, and I believe that for everybody. And I think we'll land on something that will just flow naturally. I still have faith in our comedy kidnapping Saw-like thing through stand-up comics.
Our triptych of comedy shorts.
Yes, comedy horror shorts. Yeah.
Yes, which I will be getting back to those soon.
Great. Good to hear.
I got to go back through our stream of messages and find your last notes that you gave me on what I wrote last.
Yeah, we'll get to that, and you'll probably end up collaborating on the special that I want to shoot. So I mean, we'll make it happen. It'll
make
work.
it happen. We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Jason, the thing I always like we talk a lot, and every time, and I still find out new shit about you. Like I didn't realize this music video had gotten so big, so intense, and I love that for you.
Well, yeah, it started off as like an idea, and then it became this elaborate backstory, because I had written this elaborate backstory, and then we were like, well, why don't we just do all of that? And then, hey, why don't we have it infect a bunch of people? And hey, why don't we have those people be members of the community? And hey, why don't we use a bunch of lights? And hey, why don't we use like a professional camera? And hey, why don't we blah, 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 blah. So we just it's definitely one of those things where we planned it for like 3 or 4 months, longer than that, actually. And we have everything so exacting down to a science. We have like multiple sheets, production schedule, shot lists, crew stuff, like all of that down. By the time we got to actually doing it, it was very easy.
That's the goal. Like,
yeah,
if your pre-production is good, shit will be easy. I happen to hate this stage of pre-production, and I think part of that is just because I don't feel like I've ever had a pre-production collaborator that worked the same way that I did. So that's a different story though, but pre-production will save your ass if you do it well.
Well, I'll tell you this, because I've done so many things that I just do by myself, because I've kind of taught myself all the skills around a thing, and then I've just been like, I'll do it myself. Once we got into pre-production and I realized I needed crew and I needed organization, my ego definitely bristled against the idea of someone being like, but we need this, but we need you to do this, we need you to do this. And I'm like, but what do you mean you need me to do this? I had to like really subsume my ego and my like desperation for control to like allow the magic to flow in its best way, to allow creativity to flow through other people to me and back and forth. It was definitely hard for me to relinquish control. I asked for it too. I had the option of doing it all myself, and I was like, nope.
It's free.
No.
I have found it's freeing because I I made some I've made some films in my time, and my the first film of mine that really took off was a little short called From the Darkness Theater. And on that one, I did everything. I had a producer on that, but realistically, like Greg's Greg did a lot, but a lot of his job was for me to like come at him. Just overwhelmed him with my ideas, and then he had to try to like figure out how to make it happen. So it wasn't very collaborative in that sense. But I have learned some projects since then. There's something very rewarding in knowing that I am bringing people on to this that I trust enough to get this shit done that I don't have to have my hands in everything. And that's such a reward. And granted, can it backfire? Absolutely. But that is the nature of a collaborative art form.
Well, I mean, like, that's
But
definitely. Oh, go ahead.
no, but my point was going to be, but when things are going smooth and your vision is coming to life without you feeling like you have to be the guy, it's a good feeling.
It really is, and I gotta tell you, it's interesting because I had gone through a numerous. We choose people, I think, based on our readiness to do a thing. And my first cinematographer and gaffer, or my first DP and gaffer, I kind of ignored warning signs in my instincts that they were going to not be the right person, and they ended up, not being the right person before we started shooting, which was great. I had somebody that came on as a producer that was like, I'm going to take care of all this stuff for you, and then didn't do that. And it was like, well, is this a sign that we're headed in the wrong direction? Is this a sign that my instincts aren't good? Is this like, what's this mean for the project? And I kind of just reached into my back pocket for experiences where I remember people being competent. I aimed outside of my known bubble and reached out to people who I know have just done great work. And they were absolutely excited about it and jumped right on. And some of the stuff because I had a vision, and watching other people get it, watching this dude get it and then execute it was just an incredible time. It's an incredible experience to watch your brain go through filter through someone else's brain into their skills, and then it appears on the screen. It was great. It was great. And now I have a better idea of how I'll move forward with crew acquisition and creating projects. So, and I got to again meet some cool people. There was a dude in a thing that I was shooting last year that we got to shoot at his MMA studio. Got to hang out with a bunch of local hip hop artists that I've never met, and we're just shooting all around town. It was divine.
And I love that for you.
Yeah.
And I look forward
Thank
to
you.
seeing it. And
Thank you.
yeah, big fan of the work that you put out, Jason.
Thank you so much.
So, is there anything else you want to promote about yourself before we promote something special?
I mean, we can do promotions at the end. Let's get into it.
All right. So tonight, we'll be discussing Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another, released this year in 2025. It's a sweeping political drama with the intimacy of a family story at its core. The film follows Bob Ferguson, a one-time revolutionary now living under an assumed name with his teenage daughter Willa. Their lives are forever shaped by Bob's past with the militant group known as the French 75 and by Stephen Lockjaw, a military officer whose obsession with Bob's former lover, Perfidia, sets off decades of betrayal and violence. 16 years later, Bob and Willa find themselves drawn back into the fight, forced to confront both their fractured family history and a dangerous present. Anderson had long considered adapting Thomas Pynchon's novel Vineland, but eventually set it aside, weaving elements of that book into a series of original stories that became One Battle After Another. The father-daughter dynamic became the emotional center of the film, while the political backdrop reflects Anderson's interest in how personal lives intersect with broader social forces. The film was shot on 35mm VistaVision by cinematographer Michael Bauman and became the most expensive production of Anderson's career. With Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Regina Hall, and Taina Taylor leading the cast, it opened in September of 2025 and went on to deliver the strongest box office debut Anderson has ever had. It's also Anderson's 6th collaboration of composer Johnny Greenwood. Critics have praised it as both one of his most ambitious works and one of his most accessible, noting its blend of satire, drama, and action. From 2025, written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, this is One Battle After Another.
Rise and shine.
Bat an eyelash.
Good morning.
There are no hands on the clock
Why?
because they're not needed.
What time is it?
I don't remember that part. All right, let's just not nitpick over the passwords. This is Bob Ferguson. I was a part of the French 75.
Bitch, I felt like Tony Montana!
Steve Lockjaw just attacked my home. And I cannot remember, for the life of my only child, the answer to your question.
Maybe you should have studied the rebellion text a little harder.
I need to find my daughter.
Well, then call us back when you have the time.
Did you just...
You know, you are so unsuitable for my daughter. My child comes from a whole line of revolutionaries. And you look so lost. What are you gonna do about this baby?
You know what freedom is?
What?
No fear. Go.
It's 413 out there!
Not one thing, it's another. Find that to be true.
I need you, brother. Sensei, please.
Courage, Bob. Courage.
That's it. Courage. Yeah. Thank you. Hey, thank you, Sensei. Thank you, Sensei. Thank you. God damn it! Viva la revolution!
So, normally on this show, we don't normally talk about new movies. Normally, we talk about things from the past that we have missed. But this episode came to be for a couple of reasons. One, I needed an episode. And two, you
Gotta make that content.
Yeah, and then two, you've been talking to me about this movie for quite a while. And not going to lie, there was an interesting thing that happened with this movie leading up to it. So I had your voice in the back of my mind telling me, oh, the new PTA. Not to be confused with the Parent-Teacher Association. You talking about this movie, he's like, oh, well, I'm intrigued by this. Because at the same time, I know you well enough that if something's not going to work for you, you will tell me. You notoriously did not like Licorice Pizza, which is fine. But I also know because of that, if a movie isn't good, you're not going to try to sell me on it. And then, you had been talking about this movie for so long before the trailers even started to drop.
I was afraid that they weren't even I was afraid they were gonna drop the ball on the marketing on this one, even though they spent $200 million on it. So, continue.
But then the trailer started to drop. And I should say, the trailers that were being released were not bad trailers. They just didn't feel like a Paul Thomas Anderson film. It felt to me like they were trying to get the people who wanted Sicario, and that's not a shot against Sicario, it's just a very different type of movie. It feels like they're trying to get that audience in to see this movie. And as I watched those trailers weren't bad. The movie they were presenting to me looked fine enough.
I love the idea of like trying to get those Sheridan heads in the seats.
Yeah, you gotta get the Yellowstone fans out into the theater. They're so busy spending all their time at home. But like I said, if I wouldn't have known this was a Paul Thomas Anderson film, there's nothing about that trailer that would have told me it was so. And the trailer just didn't excite me. But my appreciation for Paul Thomas Anderson does. And then on top of that, I am a man who loves spectacle. You release a movie in a limited edition format that you can't see that often, I will fucking be there. So all of that context, I had to give, because I've talked to a couple people who have also shared the same sentiment, who aren't as well connected to who's making what movie, and who've also told me that, like, yeah, those trailers didn't sell me. But it's interesting because the movie seems to be doing really fucking well.
Well, I'll tell you, so I've been talking your ear off about it because I had the opportunity to see a screening for it, just like randomly by chance on Reddit. Someone mentioned a screening site. I went to that screening site. I got tickets it was for the next day in Chicago, and I couldn't get anyone to go with me. I ended up getting someone to go with me, and the place was packed with people from all walks of life, not just Paul Thomas Anderson heads. It was people that were there to see Tiana Taylor as well, and Regina Hall. People who were there just because they got tickets. It was 2 theaters full of people, and I was just like, okay, well, I haven't liked Paul Thomas Anderson's movies since The Master. I saw The Master in 70 millimeter at the Oriental, and I thought that was, an incredible movie. But I wasn't a fan of Inherent Vice. I wasn't a fan. Phantom Thread is fine. But I really did not like Licorice Pizza, and it felt like a guy that was starting to like peak in his ability to do Paul Thomas Anderson, like he had gotten it all out of his system. Little did I know that what he was doing was really trying to find his confidence as a person who makes his own movies. Because if you go back and you watch something like Boogie Nights or Magnolia, those are the movies that people think of when Paul Thomas Anderson, and then kind of Punch Drunk Love. There's all these flourishes. It's all these camera motions. It's all this excess. And it's like, well, these are Paul Thomas Anderson movies, but they're clearly inspired by Martin Scorsese's moves and techniques and Robert Altman's moves and techniques and the way that he gets an ensemble cast together. Punch Drunk Love was a really beautiful singular kind of novella from him. And then There Will Be Blood, he like slowed the camera down and focused on one person and was like really, I'm not as huge a fan of that movie as a lot of the culture seems to be, but I appreciate what he was doing. The Master is the same way. The camera isn't moving as much as it was before. Then his next 3 movies, it feels like he's experimenting. I wasn't along for the ride. I didn't. There was something missing from them. This thing is one of the most confident. One Battle After Another is one of the most confident pieces of cinema produced by an auteur artist that I have seen in like a decade. It has literally everything that you'd ever want from a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, whether it be, creative techniques, flourishes, camera movements. It's got your ensembles. It's got your wacky dialogue. It's got your surreal humor. It even had it goes from an ensemble into a singular character study, into another singular character study, back into an ensemble. There are parts of this thing that I can't even believe exist. There's a shot at the end. There's a chase, which we'll probably get into later, that made me want to stand out of my seat and cheer.
It is, not to cut you off, but that scene will be studied in film schools in the future.
Yeah.
I can guarantee it.
Yes. But when I saw it with the screening audience, I haven't been in a room full of people laughing that goddamn hard at anything in at least 15 years. Not since the heyday of like mainstream Hollywood releasing comedies. Maybe this is the end. This is the end is maybe the last time I heard people laughing like that. And not only were they laughing like it was a comedy, like a Dumb and Dumber type of comedy, they were laughing at Leonardo DiCaprio. They were laughing who's giving this is the best movie of his career. This is the best he has ever been. They're laughing like that. They're cheering. They're laughing. They're gasping. This is one of the most like tightly produced works of emotional manipulation I've seen in a long time. I hate it really has it all. But like the audience was losing their fucking mind. And I thought, well, maybe it's a screening. They'd never seen it before. They didn't know what to expect, blah, blah, blah. But same thing with the audience that we saw it in.
Yeah.
Like it is.
And that was also a pretty mixed bag audience. And probably not as much as the one that you had seen it with, because that was a completely just random audience. But I looked around and it was a pretty mixed audience, I will say.
Because the way he cast from every single subgenre of cinema he's got in this movie, and he has the people doing career best work. And it is so funny. And that they're laughing at an auteur's newest project. They're laughing at like a movie from a guy getting the most money he ever had in a satire about fascism, about immigration enforcement, about fetishization of bodies, of minds, of spirits, of souls, about growing old and losing touch. Inside all of this is one of the funniest movies ever made.
Yeah. I'd love to go back to something you were touching on, where you were kind of walking us through Anderson's career, from There Will Be Blood and The Master onward. And There Will Be Blood, I would say, for up until potentially this movie, I feel like a lot of people would consider to be Anderson's masterpiece in terms of just kind of everything coming together. And then I still haven't seen The Master. It's on my short list of things I need to watch once my schedule frees up a little bit more.
Man, just get over here. I can watch that movie every day.
But I know with The Master, that one was a little bit more mixed for people.
It was.
And then while I personally like Inherent Vice and Licorice Pizza, I absolutely get why someone wouldn't. And it does seem almost, for lack of a better term, a misstep in some ways, where he's doing these big, epic films, and then he does these kind of weird, offbeat, smaller films. And that's not to say that you can't have range, but I was thinking about something you were saying where he was almost relearning how to make a film in a way.
Following his own instincts.
Yes.
Because that's what's so striking about this is like it's when he's pulling out flourishes in this, I don't see Scorsese. I don't see Altman. I see Paul Thomas Anderson making a Paul Thomas Anderson movie with all the powers at Paul Thomas Anderson's disposal.
Yes, and that rings true to me because.
I feel like Licorice Pizza. It hit me that it felt like a parody of a Paul Thomas Anderson movie.
I can get that.
Okay, yeah, but continue. Sorry.
I get that, where almost trying to find that confidence to trust yourself again.
Mm-hmm.
So before, so I'm going to relate it to myself here for a minute. I had taken a rather large hiatus from making stuff for a while. And part of that is, so I was writing, I was trying to make all these weird projects, and nothing was happening. And a mutual friend of ours at one point had pointed out that I needed to get my confidence back, and I had to get my feet wet. And I almost feel like, relating this back to Paul Thomas Anderson, I know he had been working on this for a while. I don't feel like we would have gotten this movie if he would have made this earlier in his career. We wouldn't have got it made in this way. he needed to have these other little side steps and explorations and making goofy little music videos and weird pinch on adaptations and all these other things so he can get to this point.
Absolutely. This is the pinnacle of a man's career. And I'm gonna watch Licorice Pizza again, and I'm gonna go back and watch all of these again, because now I see them as different points in a person's career that add up to something. I love his ability to adapt, because we talk about like he's an original filmmaker. He kind of isn't. He takes concepts like Boogie Nights is about John Holmes. There Will Be Blood is based off an Upton Sinclair novel. Inherent Vice is almost like, it's like Zack Snyder's Watchmen, in the sense that like he takes the novel and he just makes the novel, but it doesn't feel like cinema. It feels like I'm watching an adaptation of a novel.
And not having read the novel, I don't have that connection to it, I will say.
Right. And okay, well, and then occasionally he has an original idea, but he always bases it on something. And the way that he manages to interpret original material and warp it to his own twisted sense of humor or twisted sense of storytelling is just so fascinating. And now, watching One Battle After Another, knowing what the plot of Vineland is, and knowing how he twisted it around and turned it into his own little twisted kaleidoscope of an epic tale, like a war poem. I think I can go back and appreciate what he was doing more than I did when I was watching them. Does that make sense?
No, that makes complete sense. That makes complete sense.
It's all breadcrumbs now.
Yeah.
Because I saw Magnolia when, here's the thing. This movie made me feel the way Magnolia made me feel the first time I saw it. I can absolutely guarantee there was like a 16, 17, 18-year-old who was watching this movie going, my life is forever altered by this film. The way mine was when I saw Magnolia. Like, I loved Boogie Nights, but Magnolia, oh my God, just like seeped into my skin. And to be fair to him, I was looking for more Magnolia in my life from future output by him. And he has no responsibility to give me what I want, and he did not.
Yeah.
And after Punch Drunk Love, which is like this really elegant, small, self-contained fairy tale about dangerous, violent, beautiful, poetic love. It's like a very strange movie. I did not want There Will Be Blood. That's not what I was looking for from my Paul Thomas Anderson experiences. The Master gave me more of what I was looking for from Paul Thomas Anderson if he was going in that direction. But this is the first movie that like made me feel the first time I saw him cooking. And woof. So I have a deeper appreciation for his portfolio now. Because wowzers.
But you also mentioned, and I think we both can agree on this too, when you said like this is everyone involved in this film at their strongest. And I'm looking just right now just because I was purely curious. Like I feel like it can be very beneficial to see someone's entire career laid out in front of you. And I'm just looking at Leonardo DiCaprio, an actor that I've always really liked to one degree or another. And it's interesting to see all the films that he's done leading up to this one. I'm using kind of Django as kind of my start of what got him here. He was doing good work before Django, obviously, but Django was the first time where it just kind of felt like he wasn't taking himself very seriously, but still putting out a good performance. And then the run of Django to Gatsby to Wolf of Wall Street, Revenant, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Don't Look Up, Killers of the Flower Moon, and then this. it also just feels like I can see elements of everything he did in all those other movies that got him to this performance.
It feels strange to call him like, ooh, Leonardo DiCaprio is brave, but watching him really lean into questioning his own. Like, you couldn't get away from Leonardo DiCaprio in the 90s and 2000s. Oh,
Yep.
Leo, a beautiful boy, a little angel. And he's a very serious artist. But I didn't really see that. I saw him as like a heartthrob who had like one gear.
Yeah. We talk
once
about that quite a bit in Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah. And like in Romeo, I was actually having this conversation with somebody today about Romeo and Juliet. Like, if you got him angry, he might give you a little something. When he was like screaming at stuff, that's when he was good. But that's like, it was either lovey-dovey or screaming at stuff, but that's not really range. That's just base emotion. And so when he started challenging himself and really subverting the idea of who he is as an artist, that takes a lot of self-awareness. That takes bravery. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a brave movie because that movie is about Leonardo DiCaprio. Mm-hmm. That is about a guy who was famous and whose star has been fading and isn't rewarded the way he wants to, and maybe the movies aren't coming in, and he questions who he is in the industry and how he kind of finds redemption in the one single thing that he's good at. It takes a brave artist to subvert the character that they've created for many years to do that. I think that he deserved probably an Oscar more for that than he did, or The Wolf of Wall Street, than he did The Revenant. But it was time.
Yeah.
And in this, this is like an anti-Leonardo DiCaprio movie. Yeah. Oh yeah, and Killers of the Flower Moon, he allowed himself to be a disgusting moron, racist,
he's so fucking
wife killer. And also a brave thing for him to do. He's really headed into Robert De Niro territory right now, and I think it's such a perfect place for him to be. Because he's an overgrown boy, but he's starting to understand the limits of that characterization.
And it's also interesting too because like I was actually just watching. It was just one of those, whatever interviews that they do along the press tour, and it was specifically DiCaprio and Del Toro talking, and someone had asked if Benicio had given Leonardo DiCaprio any pointers, essentially, of like, here's how it is to be a dad. Because if you think about, DiCaprio is a very well-known bachelor. He is the furthest thing from a dad. But I believed him in this movie as being a dad. And Benicio said, I didn't actually have to give him anything. He understood it. And I find it interesting that he is really embodying these characters more than I think he would have been able to years ago.
Age has shaved a lot of the juvenile bullshit off of him. And you know what? It's easy for him to pretend to be a father because he treats the earth like he's their father. Like he sees the earth as his children, Mm-hmm. He sees all of us as his children, and he's always looking out for us as he flies from a private jet from environmental conference to environmental conference. But he sees the earth as he's the father of the earth. But he has shaved the edges off and allowed himself to be a softie and to be a person who cares and to embarrass himself and to keep his image from like being too pristine. And I think it's really brave of him to do that. He has a great scene partner. Chase Infinity is like brand new. They plucked her out of basic community theater obscurity to be in this thing, and they play off of each other so well that even though the relationship is only established for about 4 minutes total, I believe that he had been raising her that entire time. And the thing is, he doesn't have to be like a dad. He has to be a guy who's doing his best, right? He's not like, it's not super paternal father-daughter stuff. He is because I think that his desperation to find her is his desperation to stay connected not only to his daughter but to his past, to his former lover, to who he was, because he has to like he gets caught up. He is not in control the whole time, but he is doing his best to be some version of who he was when he was strong and powerful before he became a burnout alcoholic piece of shit. In service of saving this person who was his only connection to when he wasn't that guy.
Yeah.
So that it's more than just being a father. It's not abandoning the self. It's his last vestige of the self. Because if she wasn't there, he'd probably be dead.
Oh, absolutely. Like he. So we're kind of delving into the core themes of this film at this point, but like as I stew on this film more and more, I often just get the feeling that his passion for the revolution had faded. And maybe he even had to deal with this concept that, how much of it how deep was he really into it, or was he just young and liked to cause chaos? They never really touch on it. But then one thing I've always appreciated about the Paul Thomas Anderson films I've seen, I see a lot of himself in these films. Now, I don't know Paul Thomas Anderson, but even just like little details throughout this film, I think one of the more like the moments where DiCaprio felt most like a dad in this film was there's this moment where he's relating to Benicio del Toro, and he's talking about his love for Willa, and he's like, I don't know how to do her hair, and that felt, because PTA, he's been in a long-term relationship with Maya Rudolph, and they have kids together, and that felt like a moment from a person who that felt like a lived experience that he's bringing into this film.
The movie deals a lot with, and there could be a conversation from more qualified people. There's definitely like a really deep conversation about fetishization and misunderstanding, and the way that we dehumanize each other and misunderstand based on simple differences such as race.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hypocrisy at the root of everyone's characterizations in this thing. And not only does he have to deal with a daughter, like to your point, deal with a daughter that he doesn't know how to take care of and lacks the emotional tools to take care of. It is a black daughter that he lacks the emotional tools to take care of, with a diverse group of friends that he doesn't know how to relate to, that have nothing to do with the revolution, that have it pretty easy, that have it pretty good. He has nothing to fight for or against anymore. And like he's like a powder keg of righteous indignation, and it has nowhere to go. And which is why it's funny, because he's putting it all into these places that don't deserve it, whether he's screaming at a code guy, whether he's on the phone, or he's screaming at Benicio about how he can't find a weapon, or he's whatever it is, but he's sharp enough. He's sharp. He doesn't just give up. Like when he does get caught up in the system again, I'll try not to spoil it too much. His instincts are still pretty sharp about how to survive the man. So I think that it's a man against the world, as well as himself at every point. And he somehow turns that into comedy, because it could be tragedy. And he's been playing that character for a while. That is the character he's been kind of embodying on all sides of the emotional spectrum for about a decade, since Django Unchained. Whether it be Wolf of Wall Street, whether it be The Revenant, whether it be even Killers of the Flower Moon and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is the most honest of them, I think. Because he is he's a douchebag.
Yeah.
He's not a good guy.
And he knows that.
Benicio del Toro is the good guy.
Oh yeah.
And his the mother of his child wasn't a good person either. These people, it's one of those things where like we need monsters to fight monsters, which is what's so hard about like fighting the infighting of leftists and liberals right now. Is that liberals, they're litmus for people who are fighting against what is happening. They're like they make them go through purity tests. Gavin Newsom is scum. He's a scumbag. I don't like him, but he's the monster we need to fight against monsters. You don't unleash strongly worded letters and petitions against kaiju. You get your own kaiju. And I think that's Lockjaw in this is the kaiju.
Oh, yeah.
And so you need to get monstrous people, regardless of, that are on your side to fight against that. Which I think brings us nicely around to Sean Penn, because where the fuck has that guy been? I haven't seen him in this century, maybe, except for maybe Mystic River, and he is...
Sean Penn is an actor that, like, I just never thought much of him. Like, when he was younger, probably I, probably had some thoughts about him. But, like, yeah, like I said, he the last time I really remember Sean Penn being in something was he did both Tree of Life and This Must Be the Place in the same year.
Oh, the Tree of Life, but he's not like really in the Tree of Life
he's
doing anything.
No, he's just kind of walking around looking confused.
Yeah. He was confused because Terrence Malick gave him nothing to do. Anyways, yeah.
And then apparently he was in fucking Angry Birds, but like the last time I remember seeing him was Licorice Pizza, and I remember thinking in that movie, I'm like, shit, where's Sean Penn been? Because even in that movie, he was like,
he was in that.
He kind of has an interesting character in this. But I feel like ever since Milk, he's just been kind of around, but not really. And I feel like this is gonna kick off the Sean Pennaissance, or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
I don't know if we need a Sean Pennaissance because he's still kind of a bad. He's not a great guy.
No,
and he says dumb shit all the time.
I completely agree, but it doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
His petulant Popeye in this is so much tightly wound rage and hypocritical racism and desperation for inclusion, and the way that he wields the power of the state to try to find this child and how it destroys. Like, he's so powerless and so powerful at the same time, and it's just he's incredible to watch because it's all ticks, it's all snarls. He walks like a sentient cursed scarecrow.
I said that
you can tell by the way I walk that I'm a piece of shit.
I said to Amanda on the way we were talking about this movie, and on the way home from the screening we went to together, and she's like, I can tell that he has spent a lot of time studying military dudes. And I was like, yeah, but it also kind of feels like he's playing the short-circuiting robot version of those same military dudes.
Guys that have subsumed their entire personality to the military state, so like the police state. Like he has no personality of his own. It is all orders. It's all marching. It's all the law. I am the law. I was kind of channeling Armand Asante there. You're welcome. Law.
And his biceps are doing a lot of heavy lifting in this movie.
It's one of the funniest scenes. Why is your shirt so tight? I'm not gay. If that's what you're asking, I'm not gay. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
In a scene, in like a bunch of scenes that actually includes one of my favorite PTA actresses. I believe her name was Guinevere Taylor or something like that. She's very briefly a nun in a part of this, and she's the one who dismantled Frank T.J. Mackey in Magnolia. Guinevere Turner, maybe. I don't know. She's one of my favorite. It's you actresses.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, so yeah, Sean Penn is just like the seriousness with which he wants to be part of the Christmas Adventurers Club.
Oh my god.
Which is, we're kind of jumping around the plot here, but that's because I don't want to spoil anything for you guys.
Yeah,
how do we talk about that group?
Well, I should say we we're not going to spoil everything, but there is a disclaimer at the front of every episode of the Shameless Picture Show that there will be spoilers.
Fantastic. So the Christmas Adventurers Club,
yes,
is a
Merry Christmas, Hail Saint Nick.
deeply, deeply underground secret society that is a white supremacist organization that should not be as funny as it is. And it is run by like Tony Goldwyn, and some other guys. Locke's dad from Lost is in there somewhere. And
two of those dudes look exactly alike, too.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of like schlubby white dudes who all look the same, and which I think might be the joke. But it's a really hilarious white supremacist organization. Quote me on that. And he's desperate to be a part of it. Which is, it's very, like, it's one of those tonal things that's crazy because you're like, he is in charge of detention centers for immigrants. He hates brown people. He hates black people. He hates anything that's not white. And he wants to be part of a white supremacist organization. And then that white supremacist organization is the Secret Santas. The Christmas Adventurers Club.
Oh, my God.
And so it is somehow hilarious, even though it is deeply disturbing and monstrous, which is the kind of tonal line that this entire affair like dances on.
I just want to point out real quick, too, there in that moment, especially when we got to see their little fucking underground clubhouse, it really felt, whether intentional or not, that PTA was pulling from some David Lynch influence in that moment.
Sure. Yeah. I would say that also those are like the very PTA moments.
Yeah.
Like these long walks down a hallway and into secret doors. And then you have these, if you're talking Lynchian, you're talking these like strangely outfitted, designed rooms that completely contradict what's happening inside of them. Yeah, groups of strange men gathering to do strange things. Very Lynchian. But Lynch not really have a sense of humor in his films. It was always deadly serious.
Intentional.
Yeah, not intentionally.
I would say the funniest stuff he did was Twin Peaks, but I give a lot of that to Mark Frost.
Yeah, so it's Sean Penn is desperate to get into this, and of course he has there is a hitch to him getting in there that they find out about, and then he tries to eliminate that hitch while they try to eliminate him, and it's his whole thing, and it's so good. It's just so well plotted out, and it's also well put together. Like, that's the thing, is you have to be good at storytelling to do something like that and make an audience go, yeah, I'm on board, I'm locked in, I'm locked jawed in. And he does it because by the time you get there, you're waiting for a tonal shift, because the opening isn't funny. I mean, there's funny parts, but it isn't very funny, and then all of a sudden it gets hilarious out of the blue. Yeah.
And if anything, like, the beginning is very sobering, and it's hard to then bring as much comedy in after an intro that pretty much lacked all humor.
Right. There were little bits like what Perfidia does to Lockjaw when they first meet.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny, but it's like there's very little to laugh at, especially with like the linchpin scene of the opening act. The last act by the revolutionary group before Perfidia does her thing. Which I think we should Teyana Taylor has been in maybe 3 movies. She was a musical artist for a while, and she's in maybe 3 things. She is in the first third of this movie, and then she disappears. And she's so good, and she's so intense. And even though she's not a good character, like good person, you can feel her presence throughout the entire back half of this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're like, I don't know about you, but I was looking for her.
I
thought
kept
she was
waiting
gonna pop
for
up
her.
a couple of
Oh, I absolutely thought she was gonna make a reappearance, and she kind of does,
kind
but
of
not
does,
in
but
the way that that I feel like another filmmaker would have had her show up in the final hour, and
rescue the day, be one of the people that helps save the day,
or
Oh.
would have even brought her in much sooner and had her save the daughter instead of Regina Hall.
Oh, yeah. So I was expecting her to do that, and I was also thinking that it was her on the boat that pulls up to that outpost where they end up.
Yeah.
I think it takes a lot of it's very, and I think he knew that you were going to think that.
Yeah, he's subverting your expectations throughout the movie.
Yeah, there is this expectation the whole time that you're going to see her again, and it doesn't really work out that way. And I think she's so good, and her performance is so powerful that she looms over the whole thing. She's extraordinary, and she's new, and so a lot of people don't. She's like a Chase, where a lot of people, especially if you're like a Paul Thomas Anderson person, and you're just going to see a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, you're probably unfamiliar with her, and she is just incredible.
Well, he has that ability to kind of find actors and sometimes even non-actors and find the right role for them. Like it or hate it, the best part about Licorice Pizza was Alana Haim.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, and even Cooper Hoffman was not his dad was a fucking actor. He's become an actor since, but he was pretty much nobody. And he made the entire movie around these two people. It's not the first time that he has done that. Or, Punch Drunk Love, while Adam Sandler was not a new actor in any way, shape, or form, he found a different way to present him that other people weren't really viewing.
And even when they are familiar, he does incredibly unfamiliar things with them. Joaquin Phoenix in The Master, I think it broke his brain to be that character, but it's the best he's ever been. To this day, it's the best he's ever been.
Or, Tom Cruise in Magnolia.
Right. Lena Haim does make an appearance in this. There's kind of like it's a little bit like the Suicide Squad, where you got to meet all these people, and it doesn't really work out for a lot of them for various reasons. But Lena Haim is in the French 75. I was forgetting their name a little bit, but also like Wood Harris is in here. Avon Barker from The Wire is in it. Never seen Shayna McHale, who played Jungle Pussy. There's a little bit of a Tarantino kind of grindhouse element to the way that he kind of blaxploitations the opening a little bit. There's it's supposed to be very serious, but there's also this like grindhouse quality to the way that he characterizes all the characters. Which is why, again, like the tone shifts are so odd, but like these are very serious moments. But like during a very serious moment, it's like, hey, I'm Jungle Pussy. Okay.
Yeah. Or the fact that one of DiCaprio's nicknames was Ghetto Pat.
Ghetto Pat. Yeah. Yeah, it's just so much going on. But like the crew that he has at the beginning are very familiar. Like you've seen them places, but you don't. They're very loose characterizations, but they're not the important ones. The important ones are Ghetto Pat, Bob, and Perfidia Beverly Hills.
Yeah,
like they set their relationship brilliantly. You don't get a lot, but they're so good with each other. You get what's going on.
Yeah. And so one thing, another character I definitely want to talk about is Benicio del Toro's character.
Oh yeah,
Sensei Carlos. One thing I love about his character and just everything about his character is it's very much. So there's a thing that I really appreciate in film and in screenwriting. The concept of big world, small window, where there's a lot going on, but we're only seeing bits and pieces of it. especially because our focus is so heavily on DiCaprio and the French 75. And like when we meet Del Toro, Bob has no idea that he's essentially leading his own fucking revolution in this town.
Right.
And Del Toro has no idea who the fuck Bob was in a former life. He just goes to Del Toro because he knows that his daughter might be there. And then I just love that we have this whole other organization going on. It's very well run. Del Toro's the one who knows what the fuck's going on. Bob spends
little Latino Harriet Tubman operation.
Yes. Bob spends half of this movie just trying to get his phone charged while Benicio del Toro is taking charge. And I just love that there's a whole other world, a whole other story happening that, you know, if Anderson wanted to, he could just follow one of those other characters down that hallway, and then that could be the movie if he wanted to.
Right.
And it doesn't feel like the world is stopping for Bob and his shit. The world is moving, the world is growing, the world is breathing.
I feel like that whole sequence too is like it's very easy for when you watch like a Michael Bay movie, you know where the money went. You can see the money. The money's everywhere. The way that Paul Thomas Anderson spends the money is very clear.
Yeah.
In creating large crowds of people and creating large scenarios, but they're not explosive. It's not action packed. But like that whole sequence clearly cost a lot of money, but it doesn't come off like a big elaborate set piece. It's just very well assembled into a very well assembled piece that shows that world when they go from room to room to room to room, showing the people on the streets, showing the way that he's so good at creating 10-second vignettes of an event happening, and you get it completely. You understand exactly what is happening completely, whether it's the way that the military creates scenarios in which they can attack protesters, or whether it's the way people are gathered in a small room to be moved to another location, or the way that the police hunt people, or the way that revolutionaries like communicate with one another. The skateboarding guys that lead into the rooftop thing, which lead into one of the greatest pratfalls ever filmed in the history of man.
Yeah. I've been thinking about that fall for a while.
So good.
I'm trying to figure out how he accomplished it, because
I hope he does his own stunts.
It didn't feel like they cut away, and it didn't feel like a stuntman.
Right, Leonardo Displatio.
I could do this.
Yeah, it's just also expertly assembled, and it doesn't last very long. You see the skateboarders for 5 seconds, you know exactly what they're doing. You see the protesters for exactly 5 seconds, you know exactly what's happening. The Molotov guy, you know exactly what is happening. You are in the factory, the chicken. Why did it have to be called delicious chicken fingers or whatever? Because it's hilarious. It's a horrible thing happening to a hilarious factory. You see it for about 15 seconds, you understand what's happening.
Yeah,
there's such an economy of economics, because the money is being spent to create very elaborate scenarios that are only on screen for a short amount of time that suck you in.
Like, this movie feels like a nightmare in that I feel like I can't imagine that he didn't get some pushback. You know, just even think from a point of view of, you present this script to a studio, especially with how much money he's looking to get. And I'm sure he had some sway if he already had DiCaprio on the line. But you present this script with this many locations, this many characters, this many setups, this much going on. I can't imagine there wasn't at least a conversation being like, and, you know, pretty much saying, you think we should cut this back a little bit? We should. And he very well might have. This could be the trimmed down version of his vision. We don't know. Because, like, just thinking as someone who I've never put together anything this big, but I just think like, oh man, every one of these locations, which a lot of them you don't even see for very long, That's money. That's a company move. You know, just to get DiCaprio walking through this gas station or this convenience store where he grabs those glasses, that's at least a fucking full day worth of shooting there. They're not doing multiple setups per day.
You know what I love about that scene, and then it will seg into talking about this. That scene right there, it looks like they just rolled up, saw that place, set up some cameras, and did it. Clearly,
Absolutely.
a cinematographer is doing his job. But the other thing that is so special about this movie is it looks like a fucking movie.
Yeah, I just watched a YouTube video about that too. It looks and feels like a movie.
The lighting is so good, but like the lighting is the natural lighting of the space that they're in. They're not going out of their way to like wash out the colors. Everything is super saturated.
There's
Everything
contrast.
is lit appropriately. The darkness, they actually let them be shrouded in darkness.
And it's so I love all of that. And I feel like, once again, talking about how Paul Thomas Anderson had to kind of get himself to making this movie, I feel like everything that he was doing on Licorice Pizza in terms of with the visual look he was establishing in that film kind of felt like an experiment to get him to this point as well, because he and Michael Bauman were the cinematographers on Licorice Pizza. And like I said, the visual style, this feels like a classier version of what he was trying to establish on that film. I also appreciate that the look of this film, they're not running from what some people might view as mistakes. They're blown out shots, and it's not a fucking problem.
And it looks like a fucking movie.
Yeah.
It's cinema. There's aberration, there's blown out shots, there's that scene where she gets into the car and the camera's attached to the door, and it's clear that they did not expose for inside and outside.
Yeah.
The outside is blown out, and it is perfect. It looks like a fucking movie from the 70s.
Yes, and that's actually the scene I was thinking of when I was talking about the blown out shots, or, you know, and I appreciate, like, things are dark and they are allowed to be dark. We don't, we're not trying to expose for low light shot. Like, no, it's just things look the way they look.
Oh man. Yeah, it just, everything about it. That's why it made me feel the way the Magnolia made me feel. It's like, this is a person in control of their art form making a film that looks like a film. It makes me think of film. It makes me think of going to the video store. It makes me think of, like, this is what movies are. Sinners made me feel that way too. Sinners is a very clearly made by a person who loves the form and is in complete control of a vision.
Honestly, the reason I also loved Weapons this year, we had a strong year of fucking filmmakers making films.
Yeah, it's nice to see someone other than Christopher Nolan out there. Like, it's nice that we have other people out here doing the thing, and giving a shit about it, and we don't have to rely on, like, Nolan to be like the hero who's stepping in and saving cinema. We got guys who have been around the block appreciating cinema.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Peele's another one of them.
Yeah.
But like Zach Kreger and oh, what's this? Oh no. Oh gosh, we have a new challenger has approached us. I feel like we're in a wrestling thing. My co-host on the Dead-Eyed Millennial Film Club has just walked downstairs. Do you mind if she says a word?
Go for it.
She was there. Oh, hello.
Oh, hello.
Oh, there she is.
The problem is I can't hear Michael.
I know, it's perfect.
Great. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Becky.
Becky, my co-host on our podcast, was also at the screening that we saw. What did you think of the movie? One Battle After Another. I'm a PTA head. I won't shut the fuck up. I've watched Magnolia too many times to count in this home. I just made her watch The Master, which she loved.
He does have PTA tattooed on his forehead too. It's a little weird. You have to squint.
It's a temporary tattoo,
No,
but I put it on every day just to remind me where I stand in the world. But what were your thoughts on One Battle After Another? Because I also kind of dragged you to that. You didn't care, but you went anyways.
Oh, well, I mean, I also didn't know what I was going to see. You just said a movie is happening tonight.
That's what I did to. That's what I did to Amanda.
And it was great. It was a great surprise. I think the balance between humor and political statement was super powerful, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yes. What do you think?
Then I think what I said.
Yeah, no, it was the that's what we were kind of talking about. Like the tone is hard. You can't every time you grasp a tone, the tone switches up. What was your favorite part of it?
I mean, it was amusing to watch him try to understand or try to remember what the code word was. Like the generational shift between like, oh, he used to be kind of on it, right? But then he with years, he, gets a little schlubby, gets a little weed brained, gets a little tired,
Yeah.
and just cannot remember
Relatable.
the
Yeah.
and he's just yelling at this. I thought it was gonna be a kid on the other end, but it was delightfully like a professor aged man.
Yeah,
So,
right. That was one of the funniest parts. Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be like one of these young whippersnapper revolutionaries who doesn't understand the old guys, and it's just some old dude.
yeah. I mean, I've definitely run into them working at Lion's Tooth where you're like, "Oh, yeah, we have that book over there." And they're like, "Well, it's not that edition though, so I'm not really interested." And you're like, "You could have just said that, man."
So you didn't know we were going to see at all?
No, it was a super busy day. You just said movie, and I said, "Okay, I think I can
You
make
just
it."
knew that I was excited to see it, right? Did it take you a little while to lock in? Like when were you locked in?
Oh no, immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as I mean, the trailer gave it a pretty good preview, right? So as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh yeah, this."
Yeah, yeah. Are you a fan of Leonardo DiCaprio?
It depends.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked him in Wolf of Wall Street. I thought he was really fun. Oh God, what's the Hollywood movie? The
Once
Once
Upon a Time in
Hollywood.
Yeah.
He's super fun in that, and that feels like a very similar role, right? But he was super fun in this. I feel like he also had fun himself. The scene where he's crawling around in the dojo. Oh, chef's kiss.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah. Cool. Thank you for stopping by. Like, what your final thoughts on it? What will you think? Will you watch it again?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. When I make you watch it again.
I'll watch it on my own volition again.
It's not a true crime documentary on Netflix. I don't think you'll watch it on your own.
I'm canceling Netflix. So ergo.
Okay, well, this is news to me, guys. This is breaking news. Anyways, back to the podcast. Thank you for stopping by.
Bye, Michael. Sad
Bye.
I couldn't hear you.
He said bye. That was my co-host on the Dead-Eyed Millennial Film Club, Becky Franzel.
Also a very accomplished author.
Also a very accomplished author. Just released her 4th book. Is doing a re-release of her first 2 books soon. But, look for that. Becky Franzel.
I feel like there's a lot we could still say, but I don't want to keep you here all night.
Well, I do want to address some stuff before we get going, though.
Well, there are some things I wanted to get to, so let's address the stuff you wanted to talk about and see if it was any of the stuff that I wanted to talk about.
Johnny Greenwood.
Yes.
Is so goddamn good.
I'm not even that big of a fan of his band, but fuck, I love him as a composer.
I am a fan of his band, and I am a fan of him. And listen, I love John Bryan. The Magnolia soundtrack and the Punch Drunk Love soundtrack got a lot of play from me. His score for There Will Be Blood is one of my favorites. That's a thing that happens with Nolan movies too. Sometimes I like the score a lot more than I like the movie. Interstellar. Dark Phoenix is a terrible X-Men movie and a terrible way to end the Fox X-Men movies. Hans Zimmer is cooking on that score. I can't recommend it enough. That's one of those things too. Tenet, I enjoy the score more. But anyways, Johnny Greenwood has been absolutely just the master. Is an incredible score. Johnny Greenwood just absolutely knows. Like him and Paul Thomas Anderson are in sync. And they are not Backstreet Boys. No, this movie wouldn't work without the score by Johnny Greenwood. If it was a typical score by even a Hans Zimmer or another one of these orchestra guys, like a James Horner, it wouldn't have worked.
Maybe even
the propulsive, surreal nature of this, and the propulsive, kind of kinetic, kind of off-putting, off-kilter score is what keeps it going.
It definitely, because we all know what this movie would be like with a different score, and it would be fine. It would be fine, but yeah, the score of this is so integral to the feeling, and especially because so much of it is counterscored to what you'd expect. And once again, that's how a lot of old movies would do things, if there was even a fucking score.
Morricone, man. Morricone is directly responsible for those Westerns working, period.
Yeah.
Like, they would not work with typical orchestral scores. He was operating at a completely different level and made typical Westerns into something transcendent. To the degree where, like, I think about his themes right now.
Yeah. Absolutely agree.
What was I going to say? That's what locked me in, because like I said earlier, I thought the movie was going to suck, but I was like, free movie. I get to see Paul Thomas Anderson's new one, whatever. The score in the opening 10 minutes was like, I'm locked into this. I don't know what's going on, but like, what is happening? This is great. This is incredible. What? Yeah. Johnny Greenwood is always operating at such a high level.
Completely agree. And then what else did you want to talk about?
That's it, really. I just wanted to make sure Johnny Greenwood got his flowers. I mean, it's hard. I could talk about this movie for 3 hours, honestly. Like, I love talking to you about movies. I love talking to you about PTA, and I could talk about this movie for hours. So I concede the floor now. Where did you?
Well, I really want to talk about kind of the bookend nature of this film and how it starts off really grim. But there's almost a, there's a romance to it, and then the film has a really amusing middle section of the film. And actually amusing is not even a strong enough word. Sometimes it's just downright hilarious. But then in such a subtle way, it transitions itself back to being grim. And, this character of Stephen Lockjaw, who we spent a chunk of this film laughing at because he's a fucking dweeb, becomes one of the scariest fucking characters that Sean Penn's ever played. And feels like a real threat. And it's such a hard thing to do, to make fun of a character and then also still make him a fucking threat. I haven't seen a character that physically imposing since Javier Bardem played Anton Chigurh. And all of this to say, just the white knuckle aspect of the last act of this film, not even just the what will now become iconic chase sequence over the hills of the desert, but even just the casual, after Lockjaw finally gives off Willa to the bounty hunter and they're going opposite ways, and DiCaprio's character is trying to figure out where his daughter is, and he has this little device that's supposed to play a chime when she's nearby, and just this sense of tension, and because we have superior position through this entire film, so when we see that white car pass him and we know his daughter's in it, we're like, me and Amanda were even saying to ourselves, just like, fucking turn around, and he has no reason to, but he's also just as lost. And then when he finally finds Lockjaw's car turned over and he needs to figure out what to do next, and then he eventually sees that blue and white car that he's passed before, and he just has to fucking follow his instincts. And then throughout all of that, we also have Willa's journey, where I appreciate that she spends so much of this film defending herself and fighting for herself, to the point that even in the end, when after she has taken out this other fucking bounty hunter that she didn't know existed, and she sees her dad, recognizes her dad, but will not let him get close until he can actually finish the code word.
Right.
It's a fucking beautiful payoff.
I think that first off, I'll reverse engineer this answer here. There's something really profound about it. There's two aging white guys fighting against a white guy who represents a white supremacist society. There's a lot of whiteness at play here, and a lot of whiteness swinging its white dick around in this movie. But the hero of the story is a biracial teenager.
Yeah.
She's the one who brings it all to its conclusion. She's the one who defeats white supremacy, the white supremacist representative in the end. She's the one who saves her father in the end, her white father in the end. She's the one who ends up basically kind of protecting the nunnery. She's the one. She's the hero of the story. And she is positioned as the damsel in distress, but she is in complete control of the situation she's in, even when she isn't. Sean Penn is such an incel. And I think he's a perfect sentient representation of why white supremacy is scary. White supremacists are losers. They're impotent, they're lonely, they're shitty, they're stupid, they're ugly, inside and outside. They're fucking losers. And they're easy to make fun of because they're dweebs and losers. But they also, in groups, become violent psychopaths. They are very dangerous people. And I think Sean Penn does a great job of playing the kind of representation of what white supremacy represents. Because, yeah, it's easy to make fun of him. He's a fucking dork. He's a dweeb. He's desperate to fit into a group. He doesn't do anything. He has no personality. But when he is challenged, when things don't go his way, he becomes this kind of tightly wound rubber band of danger and terror and violence and terrorism. Terror, planet terror. I think that the way that each person represents a group of people so well while also having their own internal kind of characterization is another aspect of why this is one of the most brilliantly written fucking things I've ever seen. I don't know how he pulled this off.
Yeah.
I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio is a sentient totem of how revolutions work. You are powerful. You are strong. You are utilizing the violence you have in your heart to fight for good causes, and you stand up for what you believe in. But eventually that decays, and you find yourself giving in more and more as time goes on. You find that the more and more as you compromise to exist in the world and to survive in the world, the knees on your jeans become worn. You know, there's no way to maintain a revolutionary ideation and survive in the world if you didn't change the world when you had the strength to. He represents all of that. But at the end of the day, he's just a dad trying to keep his daughter safe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you balance those two? Benicio del Toro in his very brief time. This is the most fun he's had in years.
Yeah.
Not just as not the actor. I'm talking about the character. The character has led a very quiet life, the leader of this underground railroad movement to keep Latin immigrants safe as we move them from place to place. But he's never really seen that much action because he runs a well-established, system. Then Bob comes along and he shows him what it's like to be alive again.
Mm-hmm.
He's so happy to be drunk driving and throwing this dude out of the car and to get arrested and to just like feel the purity of fighting for your causes again. Just good. And it's the most fun Benicio's had in years.
Yeah.
Period. Just as an actor. But like, these guys, these characters, these women, these men, they represent these systems, and that they also have these beautiful personal characterizations. I don't know if I mentioned this. Stop me if you heard this one. This shit is brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Like I said, we've talked about it. This is a very strong year for movies. This is number one with a bullet for me. And to be honest, I didn't think anything was going to overtake Sinners. But this is something special. And it's not it's not to downplay Sinners in any way, shape, or form. But goddamn,
I mean, I don't like throwing people against each other. Between Sinners, this, and Weapons, it's just been a good fucking year.
Absolutely.
For cinema, for cinematic experience. Sinners was great. This was great. And like it feels like it was all build up. Sinners really like set the stage for what was coming out next. Weapons was shockingly good to me. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. I wasn't as much of a fan of Barbarian as a lot of people were, but it's such a leveling up.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I Sinners is kind of like this real subversion of the dusk till dawn trope of the kind of, the people are hiding from an evil force on the outside and have to defend themselves thing. It's so much more than that, and it is shot brilliantly. It is acted beautifully. Michael B. Jordan in a career best. Then Weapons comes out, and it takes this really simple concept that you'd find on a VHS in 1980 in a video store and expands it to Magnolia degrees. And so it really prepares you for what this would be.
Yeah.
So what a year.
What a year
for the movies.
What a year. All right, Jason. So before we wrap up, any final thoughts before I ask you what your Thrill House moment was?
I mean, I just recommend this movie. I mean, love it or hate it, it's a movie worth watching.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's been let's just put the movies we were talking about off to the side here for a second. I don't think there's been a greater American movie this decade, and possibly in the last 10 years. I think that this is this is the best movie of Paul Thomas Anderson's career. This is the best movie of Leonardo DiCaprio's career. This is the best work Johnny Greenwood has ever done. Chase Infinity should have a thriving career ahead of her after this.
Like, honestly, I was not, going back to the Leo thing, I was not expecting a movie a performance of his to top Killers of the Flower Moon this fucking quickly.
Right. He's really on something
like,
right
I
now.
was convinced that like that was gonna be his, like, the 1-2 punch of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Killers of the Flower Moon were gonna be like, that's gonna be what's gonna solidify Leo, and they did in their own way. But goddamn,
yeah, he's. I couldn't believe that Leonardo DiCaprio was. I thought that Paul Thomas Anderson and Leo getting together would dilute each other. Honestly, I thought that Leo's star power would dilute Paul Thomas Anderson's auteurism, and I thought we'd get like a more mainstream movie. Absolutely not. I was wrong. I couldn't be happier to be wrong. Teyana Taylor, I hope, is in more auteur's films. I think that she has an incredible career ahead of her. She really knows she's just on the right frequency. Regina Hall, classic, but like, I don't want to go through every fucking character, but like, I really think that everybody is fucking peaking in this thing. And I think that there's also some deeply problematic characterizations, which is a conversation that's happening in the culture around it right now too, that I think I look forward to hearing more about. And I think that it's worth seeing to see, to understand those as well. I think that it's a movie worth watching regardless of how you feel. Does that make sense?
absolutely.
Yeah. That's just too good. And I'm so glad I had the opportunity to talk about it finally in a way that with somebody who loves this shit as much as I do.
Oh, absolutely do. All right, Jason, did you have a Thrill House moment? I know it's hard to say, but you have seen this movie twice already. So did you have one? Did you have that kind of like lock-in moment?
I tried to come up with a different one. I really did. I think that the sequence from the dojo to the falling off the roof is brilliant, but it is the chase. The chase is one of the greatest things ever filmed ever. I don't know how you took a simple car chase. You took it's just a long lens going down the highway.
Yeah, you weren't even really seeing cars chase. It was also a relatively slow car chase. Like, obviously they're going fast, but you have this thing where Willa is in panic mode. we never establish whether or not the blue car is just driving fast or if he actually is chasing her. And
Right.
then you have Leonardo DiCaprio following behind, also not 100% sure who he's going after. So there's a lot of unknown in that sequence, and it's just perfect.
Yeah, I don't understand how he shot it that excitingly.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make any sense to me, because there have been bigger, more elaborate car chases that aren't as exciting as the way they shot these rolling hills. And the fact that it can end with Chase's character being able to hide behind that sign and do what they did. And just when I play racing games, I always play them in first person, like not first person, like play them from the front of the car. That's just how I play them. Because I'm a psychopath, according to Becky.
She's not wrong.
But so to see that in a film, to see somebody shoot that is insane to me. And the way that they focused on the gravel on the ground as they were also focused on the road ahead, like a mile ahead, it's just genius stuff. Ugh. And the way that they built up to it too, because they're not shooting it that way. Then Leo sees the car ahead, then the inciting incident happens, and then the buildup, and then it happens. And Johnny Greenwood's score is like just genius stuff. I think it's I think the whole movie is my moment, but like and it's at the perfect spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't want to choose the same answer, but my answer is the same. I would say for me, if I'm not choosing that, I would say the entire DiCaprio hiding in the building with Benicio and the way all that plays out, I think is just fucking brilliant.
Which one was it?
So like when Benicio is helping DiCaprio hide, and he's just they're going through all the different floors of that building, waiting for the military to show up and break in, and them essentially trying to escape out the roof of the building. Like all of that sequence, I think is fantastic.
Yes. The way that that when he gives him strength, Bob, strength.
Yes.
And he gives him the rifle, and Bob is running down yelling, "Viva la revolution!" And even the carpet rolling is just such a great touch. It's such a great touch.
All right. So where can the people find you out there, Jason?
LMN Studios, Lemon Hill, LMNHILL Studios, Lemon Hill Studios. You can type my name, Jason Hillman, into Instagram and find it, but it's Lemon Hill Studios. You can hear all my podcast appearances, see all my photography, see a couple of videos, whatever I'm working on at the moment. You can find me on Threads at the same, where I'm doing my Bob work as best I can. Mostly yelling at bots, I think, at this point.
It brings me joy, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Excellent. I do host my own podcast, the Dead-Eyed Millennial Film Club, with Becky, the surprise guest there.
One of these days you'll invite me on it.
Trying to figure out how to do guests. I will have you on it as soon as humanly possible. Austin is also supposed to be on it at some point. I think we'll talk about that later. But you can find us at the Dead-Eyed Millennial Film Club on YouTube, on Spotify, anywhere really where you procure your fine cast.
It is a good show. Even without me being on it, it's a good show.
Somehow we manage.
I know.
We can feel your absence, at every episode, but we do our best.
I don't believe you, but I'll take it. All right.
But yeah, you can find me at all those places. And just listen for me in the air.
Yeah, if you wish hard enough, he will show up. And then at this point, everyone should know where to find me. I am Michael_Viers at pretty much every form of social media. I'm on TikTok at Shameless Picture Show, where I talk about aspect ratios more than anyone else on that platform. You can also find me at Letterboxd Viers 2008. I am second year strong of reviewing every single movie that I have watched. And I watch a lot of fucking movies, so that's quite impressive. So yeah, thanks everyone for listening. If you like what I'm doing here, make sure you go to my Patreon. Throw me a couple bucks. Me and Amanda do a well, we've been on hiatus because no one's fucking subscribing, but we are bringing back our Cages the Rage episode. Patreon show. We're going to start releasing a couple of them just onto the regular feed, just to give you guys all a taste. But where me and Amanda are working through Nicolas Cage's entire filmography chronologically. And yeah, thank you everyone for listening. You can catch us Shame Time, Shame Place, Shameless Picture Show.
The Shameless Picture Show is a proud member of the Cinepunks Podcast Network. The show is recorded in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and is hosted and produced by Michael Viers. The show is created by Michael Viers and Nick Richards. The Shameless Picture Show is edited by Austin Proctor of the Frightmares podcast. Amanda Viers is the show's graphic designer and a big help behind the scenes. Our theme music was composed by Austin Proctor with narration by Nick Richards. The end credit music you're currently enjoying was generously provided to us by the band 10 Speed. And an extra special thank you to all our Patreon supporters and to our generous sponsors. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, and directly at Cinepunks.com.